Peace, God.
Peace, God.
We out here in the A.
No doubt, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, last time we was building, we touched on a couple of things about the A. You know what I'm saying? But you was telling me about the, it was called the Lord's Garden. And versus, what was the?
Allah's true land. So, basically, Allah's Garden, when I got out here, that's what the brothers was calling it, was Allah's Garden. And when I got out here, from my observation, what I saw, it was a name that was being promoted primarily by Wakil, basically the Muslim gods. They weren't calling themselves Muslim gods back then. They were calling themselves, I think it was like Tribe of Shabazz or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, see, like Muslim god, that was the first time I heard that being used, was being used mostly as a term to like delineate them as being something different from us, and that's what the gods was calling them. They weren't really calling themselves that, you know what I mean, at the time, you know what I'm saying?
Right, but then they took it on and...
They took it on, yeah, and then they dug through the pages of Elijah and, you know, got their validation for it in his words and so forth. Right. But back then it was kind of saying like, you know, like they were confused at the time, so... But, you know, the brothers, they were actually, you know, doing their thing, and they were meeting on a regular basis, and they were really, really good at selling merchandise. You know what I mean? That was like their thing. Like, I would be at the clubs, and you were running to them at the clubs, and they were selling their shirts, they were selling their different items, and one of the things they used to sell was a Lord's Garden shirt. They had a shirt for Medina, Mecca, Pilon, but they had the shirts with the names of the different locations, and one of them was a Lord's Garden. And that became like a source of contention for some of the brothers out here, because there were some brothers claiming that, you know, that the quote-unquote true and living 5%ers had came up with the name of Lord's Garden. But from my observation, God, that was something that Wakil and them had actually, they named Atlanta Lord's Garden.
So that was really, that had its root with them.
Yeah, God, yeah, God.
Okay. So.
I spoke when they were arguing out here amongst the cipher about it. I spoke to Wakil on the phone, and I also spoke to the brother Divine Knowledge, who they were the gods was claiming Divine Knowledge was really the one who started that name, and that how Wakil and them took it on. But it's not a name that came from the Muslim gods. They're saying that the gods named it. I mean, being objective God, I saw that as Wakil and them. You know what I mean? Like I didn't hear nobody else.
Why say that though?
Because they were the ones pushing the T-shirts, they were the ones having the parliaments and so forth.
I mean, but does that mean that they originated?
Nah, well, I logically deduced it from my conversation with both Wakil and Divine Knowledge, you know. And when I spoke to Wakil did have that history as far as how they was dealing with the name, where it came from. I know at one point True Islam said something like he had documentation to prove that they originated name. I don't know if that's true. However, when I spoke to Divine Knowledge, what kind of had me seeing that Wakil and them came up with it was Divine Knowledge told me that basically Wakil and them was having the ciphers, and they were calling it the Garden of Allah. And he said he flipped it backwards and called it Allah's Garden.
Wakil flipped it backwards?
No, that's what the God, Divine Knowledge said.
Okay.
Divine Knowledge told me, he said, yes, they called it Garden of Allah. They were the first ones he heard name the area. He said this to me, Garden of Allah. I never heard of Garden of Allah. And he said he flipped it to Allah's Garden. So I'm not saying who's telling the truth, who's not, but what I logically deduced from it is that Wakil and them were the first people that at least put the word garden and Allah together in one form.
Okay.
So later on, some of the brothers, this might have been like 96, 97, some of the brothers had took a little, like they had a little objection with that, you know what I mean? They were like, yo, we can't have the Muslim gods naming our territory, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they had proposed back then, I think one of the names was like Afghanistan.
Yeah, Afghanistan. Like,
yeah, then they had a large true land, and the names never really stuck, you know what I mean? So what happened was in 2000 and I want to say 13, God, I think it was the in November or October, they used to have something called the Harvest every you know, every like around the fall time out here, which was like a coming together, socializing, you know what I'm saying, the guards coming together, breaking bread, building and so forth. And they had stopped it for a while, and they decided to reignite it and whatnot. And during that new harvest in 2013, they had basically started coming up with, you know, the conversation that, you know, we need to change the name again. We need to change it from Allah's Garden, Allah's True Land, because Allah's Garden is a Muslim God name. And then they had a meeting. I was at that meeting, and they basically voted on changing the name, and a lot of the gods and earths that was there and present decided, yeah, we don't want to call it Allah's Garden because that's lineage going back to the Muslim gods. One of the brothers was Atomic, that was in agreement with it. You know what I'm saying? I was there. I think Supreme Understanding was there.
Okay.
And they were all saying, yeah, we're going to change it to Allah's True Land. So when that happened, God, you know, some of the brothers that was already building out here, they wasn't really, you know, they wasn't really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? They believe, like, no, Allah's Garden is our name. It's not the Muslim God's name, and we're not going to change it just because we think it has an attachment to them. And it got to the point where brothers was calling the name of this territory two different names.
Two different names.
Allah's True Land was on one side, and you had Allah's Garden. And Allah's True Land was when it was basically put forth as being a name, it was put forth from brothers who were coming out of an area that they named Strong Mountain. That's Stone Mountain, Georgia. And you had Allah's Garden cipher was actually being held. They were holding their parliaments in the place where we were originally holding the parliaments in '95. Right. And by originally, this wasn't where the first parliament started, but when, you know, the gods and earths decided to come back and kind of combat the lies that were being told about our culture through the mouths of some of the Muslim gods at the time, and they came together, they decided to have that parliament in the park down in Atlanta off of Ralph David Avenue, and that became like the official parliament space in '95, '96, '97. I left in '97. I heard they changed it to another area, but then they ended up doubling back and coming back. And the brothers that were still holding ciphers there basically were saying, yeah, this is Allah's Garden cipher. And the brothers in Strong Mountain was calling Allah's True Land. And then now you got some brothers call it A Medina.
So there's a few names that this place has.
Yeah.
If Mecca did this.
Peace. In celebration of each other, we support each other's hustle. Weight Life has sponsored this content. You can get a sweatshirt, t-shirt, or a hoodie at the Common Unity store of a law school in Mecca. Or just simply hit me up. I got the hookup. Peace.